Hi everyone, this is Carol coming in from Quito, Ecuador. This is the first of a series of blog posts that's going to document my time here in Quito as a Rachel Robinson International Fellow working for CARE International. So Vina, my fellow JR scholar, and I just got here about a week ago, just over a week, and we're living in separate homestays for now, but in a month when the second room in her homestay opens up, I'm going to move in with them. But for now, I'm living with the Castro family, which is a really interesting group of people. The dad holds a national title in hammer throwing, which is, I'm guessing, the equivalent of shot put in the US. The mom works at a school managing an IB program, and they have three sons. So the first son works for the US equivalent of UPS, and he's also a drummer in a band. He has a daughter. And then the second son is a lawyer and is a torero, which is a bullfighter. And there's pictures downstairs to prove it, so a little scared of him. Just kidding. And then the third son races cars for, I'm guessing, the Formula One equivalent in Ecuador. So they're all super talented people and a really, really close family. The two sons that don't live here and have families come over every day. We all have dinner together, and the grandparents are super involved with their grandkids. It's really cute. And then on Saturday, Vida and I went to the Centro Histórico, which is the historic center of Quito, where there's a basilica. And then we went to this cafe that we knew about through a couch surfer, actually, and had some really good food. And then we went to this place called La Ronda, which is this super swank hipster area. There's a bunch of music, there's a bunch of galleries showing art exhibits. And then yesterday we went to La Mitad del Mundo, which, if you know Spanish, means the equator. So we went there and acted a fool, jumped northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. It was cool. And we were told that if you bring an egg and you put it on the equator, the egg will just stand because it won't know which way to go. I don't know if that's true or not, but I need to go back to figure that out. So that's on the agenda. And then we went to this mercado artesanal, which is like an artisan fair, and I bought a bag. I'll show y'all later. But there's just all this like cool design work that they put on table runners, carpets, bags, all kinds of stuff. A lot of earrings, a lot of jewelry. So we went to that, and then it was Father's Day. So I went to Venus host mom's house where she was hosting a big lunch for a bunch of people, and we sat around, had soup. Soup is really, really big here, and this amazing rice plate that was delicious. I actually don't know what any of it was called, so fail on my part, but it was absolutely delicious. And we just joked around, hung out for a while, and then I came home. And then there's work. So Vina and I are working on separate projects. She's working on a climate change project, and I'm working on an education project in Ecuadorian villages up in the mountains, actually. So we get to drive by this breathtakingly not real scenery up on our way up to the villages. And what was happening in these two villages was that the kids would go to these flower companies to work after the school year ended. Come the next school year, the parents would keep them in the flower plantations because they thought it was more beneficial for the kids to be bringing in money than going to school. So CARE identified this problem over 7 years ago and started sending representatives up there. And what we've been doing is setting up summer camps for these kids to go and participate in all kinds of educational and fun activities. There's puppets, there's clowns, there's arts and crafts, there's police teaching them about, the dogs that they use to sense things and about self-defense. There's all kinds of activities for the kids. And come the school year, they've been, they've been getting hit the whole time with how important it is for them to stay in school and to not work during the summers because it encourages them to keep working. Um, so it's this really productive program. It's been going on for a really long time. It takes a lot of preparation, and that's what we've been doing in the long term, preparing for in the long term. And then in the short term, we've been working on a sexuality project. So we chose 12 kids from neighborhood schools, from village schools, taught them all about sexuality, what it is, the difference between sex and sexuality, when it's time to have sex, when you should talk to your parents, when you should start using contraceptives, the different sexually transmitted diseases, sexual abuse, everything. And these are 13 to 16-year-olds, so you can imagine how much giggling there was. And then after teaching them that, we set up a forum for them. So we invited all their classmates, as many as we could, put them all in an auditorium. The kids we taught presented, and the kids that had just gone there asked questions. And it was just this it was just a presentation of everything they'd learned and this exchange of all these questions that these kids had. And these topics are really taboo in these neighborhoods, so these kids, they never had a sex ed class. And it was great to see that the kids held their own. Um, they knew how to answer those questions, and they were whipping out all these facts and details. I was proud. I'd only known them for 3 days. So that's the project that I'm doing up in Pedro Moncayo and Cayambe. People think of Quito and they think, the indigenous women with their beads and their hats and their long ponytails. And that's not what you see when you walk out. But in these select villages, these indigenous people, there are indigenous communities. So there are indigenous women in Quito, not in Quito, sorry, in Cayambe and Pedro Moncayo. And so the indigenous women were out, they were doing their dances during this pregón, this parade, celebrating the kickoff of all the activities. And I got in line with them and I started dancing. And there's gonna be more this month, so I'm hoping that I was told there was $10 to rent and all the clothing that goes with the indigenous, the whole indigenous thing. So maybe I'll be dancing and showing y'all pictures. Then the bus transportation is awesome. So the bus is a quarter. What? It's $1.75 in Boston, so I'm thoroughly appreciating that. Um, and the bus is actually a stressful experience when you're getting on and off because they don't actually stop. They just slow down. And the second you put your foot on the bus getting on, they'll start going. So there was one point where I was on the first step getting on the bus, the door hadn't closed, and I was feeling the wind at my back, and I was just like holding on for dear life. And it's only a quarter, so you really can't go wrong. But the cabs when the buses aren't working are no more than $1, two max. If they're charging you $3, you're getting ripped off, point blank. So that's awesome. And then food is really cheap too. So my boss Alejandra in Cayambe goes to this place every day, and she has food, a soup. Soup is really big. Rice and meat with a salad and some kind of tea, and it's $2. $2. So yeah, we can get by pretty well here as long as we don't try to buy American things, which we really have no reason to since we'll be back home soon enough. So yeah, things have been awesome. A lot of couch surfers to meet up, a lot of them with a lot of ideas. On the agenda, some salsa classes, trying to learn that. Vita and I have a small project going on that we'll brief you guys on later. And yeah, things are good. So we'll see you soon. See you next week.